When finding the percent of a whole number, all you really have to do is these two steps, which would be step 1, you need to change your percent to a decimal, and you do that by jumping back the decimal to place values. I'll show you that in a second. In step 2, you're just multiplying your whole number and your decimal number. So if you're pretty good at multiplying wholes and decimals, it's not going to be a terribly difficult concept. So let's take our first problem, 75% of 12. Remember, your answers are always going to be smaller, because 100% of 12 would be 100, so, 100% of 12 would be 12, so your answer is going to be smaller than 12. So whenever you get the 75%, what you need to do is change that 75% to a decimal. Now, how would you do that? You say, well, there's not even a decimal here. Well, you put that decimal at the end and you jump it back 2 places. So now instead of 75%, you have 0.75, and you're multiplying that by 12, because of really means multiplication whenever you're talking about math. And now you just have a pretty simple problem. You set your whole number up top if you want to. I usually do, and your decimal number down here, and you're multiplying a decimal. Remember, you need to jump your decimal out of the way. Count your jumps. It took 2 jumps to jump it out of the way. Now you're just multiplying like normal. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Skip a line and put a 0. 7 times 2 is 14, carry the 1. 7 times 1 plus 1 is 8. I add up my numbers, get 900, which makes no sense, but you have to remember to jump back your decimal twice. So does it make sense? Is 75% of 12 9? Yes, that works. So your answer is 9.00, or just 9 wholes. Let's take the next problem, 62% of 21. Well, step 1 is change this to a decimal. So instead of 62%, I need to take this decimal that's kind of non-existent right now and jump it back. So instead of 62%, what I really have is 62 hundredths, and I'm going to multiply my 62 hundredths by 21. So I set up the problem. I usually put the whole number up top. That's just me. 21 times 0.62. Remember, I need to jump my decimal out of the way, and I count my jumps. Took 2 jumps. It's usually always going to take 2 jumps, by the way. And then it becomes a multiplication problem. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Skip a line and put a 0. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. I add up my numbers. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 6 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 1 plus nothing is 1. You say, well, like I said, my answer is supposed to be smaller than 21. That's true, because we need to jump our decimal back 2 places. So 1, 2. So my answer is 13 200. So 62% of 21 is 13 200. So really just 2 steps. Make sure you're changing your percent to a decimal. Make sure you're multiplying your 2 factors. And then make sure you're jumping your decimal back. Your answer will, unless you have more than 100%, but your answer will be smaller than your whole number you're starting with.